Okay, so I will quickly go over the FFDM script. So basically, here we use FFDM, which is a set of parallel free-frame scripts in order to prototype and test, I guess, new domain decomposition methods. So it has decent performance, but it's nowhere near the the performance of PETSI, HPM, and so on. So this is the first version where we prototype the method, even though it still gives decent parallel results as you have shown. The idea is that everything is written in the free-frame language, so it's pretty easy to debug and test. And then once we are satisfied with the method and we think it's worth implementing in state-of-the-art libraries such as PETSI, we have this extra step at the end. And so this is still, I guess, a prototype code. So this is written in the FFDDM framework. So here is the script, if you can see, I think. And so, yeah, we have some such. So this is exactly the script that you can also use to reproduce the result as Frederick showed, as he said. So we have an alternative beam with alternating layers of rubber and steel here. And okay, we can define our heterogeneous coefficients for the material properties. And so we have the same version, a 2D and 3D versions in the same script. So let me just go to the 3D version here. Okay, and so basically we have the usual macro for elasticity, linear elasticity here. And so we define the global mesh, which is our beam here, with length 5. And so this is a finite element space for velocity space, so P2, 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 and oh, it should be P0. No, P1, yeah. So linear pressure, as Frederick said. So P1 for the pressure. And now we can define our variational formations for the 3 blocks, right? So we have the variational formulation for the A block. So this is basically embedded in a macro, which is sort of a abstract variational formulation, which is mesh independent because the mesh is now the parameter here. And then FFDM will take that as an input and integrate your variational formulation on the correct meshes depending on what you want to do. This is sort of an abstract variational formulation. And so you recognize the linear elasticity block A block here. You have a force here on the y direction, the Neumann boundary condition. And so we have the variational form for B, right? So divergence of U times Q. And the C block, right? With the 1 over lambda PQ, which is where things get hard. Okay, and so now we also need a way to tell FFDM how to define finite element functions on these spaces. So it is pretty easy for the pressure space, it is scalar, but we have 3 components for the velocity space. Okay, and so now here we can decompose the mesh first using this FFDM macro. So this is standard stuff, which it does pretty much the same as the math interface Pierre showed a while ago. And so since we will have multiple finite element spaces here, I put some names, so usernames on all these stuff. So my M here is my choice here. So this is a name I chose for the mesh decomposition. So under the hood, I will be able to use and manipulate MTHIs. So basically, every variable defined by this macro is as. So I decompose the mesh. This is my vectorial finite element space, full finite element space, and then define the distributed finite element space for A, which is prefixed by AFE. The same for the pressure space, which is CFE OG here. And without going into details, the OG is for augmented because for the method to work, we need to have 1 extra layer of elements for the pressure finite element space in the mesh decomposition. but I won't go into the details because I don't really have time to do that. And then this is standard stuff to define the Genio two-level preconditioner for operator A. Right, so I define my operator A here from the variational form for A. This is A block, distributed A block. I can define a one-level preconditioner, RAS, for example, for this prefix. And then I can, on top of that, define my and construct my Genio core space for this A block. So this is all standard stuff that you can look up in the documentation if you want. Okay, and we can specify the course correction here for A. For example, this is deflated course correction, which is also the default for SPDM, for example. And then we can define our distributed rectangular B block, B tilde here, which takes the two finite element space, so source and target finite element space, and this is a rectangular block. And finally, the diagonal pressure block C tilde here. So we have the three blocks that are necessary to define the whole distributed problem. One extra user-defined parameter here of the method is you need to provide some C tilde matrices, but we didn't have time to explain where it displays a role here. But the standard choice is to just take the Neumann matrix of the variational formation for the pressure block for this matrix, which is exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, and now the non-standard new stuff here is basically here embedded in this macro, which is actually also written entirely in the free frame script. So if you want to understand how we implemented it, you can look that up. But for now, we hide it for the user. So if you want to use this script, you don't have to worry about going through hundreds of lines of code to understand how we do how the method is implemented. And so basically, this will construct the Genio core space for the Schur complement, right, in the pressure space. And so for that, we need all three operators, right? So I need to pass A, B, and C as distributed operators, and one additional parameter which are the C tilde matrix on each subdomain. And this will construct a new prefix here, and this will construct all necessary operators on Genio core spaces and so on to be able to apply the saddle point Genio solver to solve the problem for the Schur complement. And so this is the rest is exactly as Frédéric showed. So we have the right-hand side for the A block, right? So the Neumann boundary condition, basically, which I take as a linear form from the A var F. We have the right-hand side for the pressure, which is 0 in this test case. And then I would need to define, I need to solve A, G equals F in order to go to the pressure, after that, go to the pressure space. So this is just solving for A using the Genio preconditioner for A. And then I go to the pressure space, right? So I need to multiply by B. So this is distributed like this. So we wrap the distributed operator B for you with the B mat vec here. And then I can compute GP here. So now I'm in the pressure space. I can solve the problem. Basically, I can try to solve this problem with the Schur complement using ns-1 as the Genio preconditioner as Frédéric said. And so this is applied. This is also an inner loop. So that's why Frédéric said that we have inner loops. ns-1 is solved by GMRes. And so that's it. So basically, here I'm calling GMRes on the SP problem. So my Schur complement problem, and to solve for the pressure. And so now I have the pressure. So I can print some info about timings on the size of problems for the two prefixes, the A and the Schur complement problem. And then I can go back to the velocity space to compute my velocity or displacement per elasticity. So I compute B transpose P, F minus B transpose P. And once again, I need to solve for A like this. So this is solving for A. And then I have my my solution UXB, and I can, for example, plot the Y component of my velocity. And there is also a block version that is written for the whole matrix without going into the Schur complement pressure space and limiting the unknowns. But yeah, this is clever commenting. So if you just embed that in a if macro and the macro is not defined, the code is not compiled. So, but it's pretty easy pretty easy way to comment without worrying about nested C++ block comments that you have trouble about. Okay. And so, for example, I can run it here. So on 8 cores, dimension 3 with 5 layers of 5 alternative layers of rubber and steel. So we have 18,000 degrees of freedom. So you see that the core space, it's giving you some the stats and the sizes of the core space. So this is the core space for R, which is maybe I can show in the script that we can specify different tolerance for the core spaces, so for A and for the Schur complement. So this is the threshold for A, which is 0.3 here. So this is, since the only thing we don't have control on and so, yeah, for example, here you see that you don't need really a lot of eigenvectors for the Schur complement, so only one eigenvector per subdomain. And you see the nested loops here at each iteration. So since we apply the Schur complement at each iteration, we need to solve for A at each iteration, and also solve for ns-1 at each iteration. So this is for ns-1. But as we have seen in the slides, all the iteration counts are very stable with respect to number of unknowns and number of subdomains. And so, for example, here we converge in 9 outer iterations, and we have some stats here. So you can see we actually spend half the time solving for A in the Schur complement problem, 1.4 seconds, with 2.8 seconds total time for the solving for the Schur complement. And so this script is available in the distribution. And hopefully the next step is to maybe try to define a fully algebraic version of that. And if we can, try to implement that in state-of-the-art DD libraries such as HPDDM or even PETSI. And so, yeah, that's it. Thank you. And so, yeah, this is the velocity in the right direction.
Okay.
I stop here.
Speaking the room 2, the basic tutorial will be in room 15, so this corridor, room 104. And for people who are basic system user, who follow me. And I close l'enregistrement